Hey, this is Kevin from Kevin's Micro Fleet. Today, I've got a Micro Galaxy Squadron review. We're going to be taking a look at the Series 9 Starfighter class Armada Edition TIE Bomber. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the figure, at the vehicle, at the packaging. We'll do some measurements and we'll do a comparison. Let's go ahead and dive into the review. Starting here with the packaging, one of the first things that we note is that this is an Armada Edition. And you can see it here with the sticker as well as on the side. The Armada Edition vehicles are a vehicle that is an evergreen vehicle, or it's some type of vehicle that has updated deco of some sort, either with the figure or with the actual vehicle itself. And this is something that could be potentially re-released in the future. One of the advantages of not putting the series on the box is it does make it easier for them to do that. Now, you do have your media source this comes from, Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, TIE Bomber there on the bottom, number 85A for Armada. As we turn this thing around to the back, you get a chance to see the this cool red imaging on here. It does show the different features of the vehicle, as well as you have this blueprint cutout if you wanted to collect that. And then on the bottom, here is the UPC if you're looking for that. Here's your card backing and your insert underneath the vehicle. Both of them have the Imperial logo on it. Could be used as some type of background if you were going to try to display this in front of it. The figure comes inside this little plastic package. Just pull back on this little piece. You get a chance to see the blueprint on here. We'll call it a red print maybe. Then you can go ahead and grab this tab here to be able to pull it out and then get the figure out. Here are a bunch of TIE pilots that we have. So first off, we have our Series 1 TIE pilot. Then we have our Series 4 Bomber pilot. We actually have our female TIE Defender pilot. And then now we have our Armada Edition TIE pilot. And so looking at these, you can obviously see the difference between Series 1 and the rest of the series, where Series 1 just has the white dot there right on the top of the helmet. And then with all of the other series, they actually do have that Imperial cog on there. Now, beyond that, and beyond the female pilot, which is a little bit shorter and a little bit thinner in the waist, other than that, the sculpt is pretty much the same with all the rest of them. There isn't really any updates to it. Now, as we turn it around to the back, we get a chance to see the back again is still the same. No difference with any of that either. And then again, the silver there on that chest box and the belt, and then obviously the Imperial cog is all the same as well. Let's start by taking a look at the features of this TIE Bomber. Now this is sitting on one of my custom 3D printed flight stands. You can find in the description below the link to my Etsy store to be able to pick up this flight stand as well as others. So if we take a look at the features of this, one of the first things here is that it does have an opening cockpit. So if you pull up here on the cockpit, you'll be able to see the interior of this. And the one really cool thing about this you can see is this is actually a two-seater vehicle. So you have your pilot in there, as well as you also have a gunner or a bomber there as well. Now, obviously, this only comes with one figure, so a bit of a bummer that we can't fill this thing out right away. But, if you get a few of these different things, different TIE fighters, you can end up putting another pilot in there to have your other seat taken. Now, the other thing is you have your bomb bay. So if we go ahead and pull up on this, the one thing I will say is just be careful as you open this up. You can see the little stress line there right on that hinge. When I pulled this up initially, that piece right there got caught on this piece on the underside. And as I pushed it up, it just bent the whole thing. I almost broke this top door right off. So be careful when you pull that up. I would recommend that on your first time opening it, that you pop it open and then you try and hold as close to that hinge joint as you can to then be able to pull that all the way back. And after you actually move it a couple times, it kind of wears off whatever the friction piece is there, and then it'll open without any problems. Now, obviously, now that this is open, you can see all the different bombs that are in there, which is really cool to be able to have that added feature. You don't really need to do that for this vehicle still to be really cool, but it is an awesome piece to it that just adds a little extra value. Now on the underside of this, we do have, here is our actual, bomb door, I guess, where it would then drop the bomb out of there. So beyond that, you actually do have some wings on here that are removable. Now you can see how those connect. So you have like a little D socket there to be able to put the wing on. And the other side will come off as well. And it's slightly different, so that way you can't put the wing on the wrong side. As we turn this thing around to the back, you get a chance to see there is some little engine features, which is nice. You got those two little lights there on the back, which are a very vibrant red and is really, really nice. So from a detailing perspective, this thing looks amazing. And this is such a cool bomber or vehicle to have, just because it helps to really complement the rest of the TIE fighters that we have. Now, if there's one small issue I do have with this, it's actually with the way that they dated this vehicle. So you can see they put the item code and the production date right on the front of the wing, so that if you've got this thing sitting here on display, you just see that black font sticking out there like a sore thumb. They had on their previous versions put it as a embossed writing here that's in the same color of the plastic, and you can see it says it right there, and it had the date on it. So I don't know why they went away from that and they went to this black font. I really hope that they change that, because there's a number of vehicles in this Series 9 that have that black font on there, and it really takes away from the amazing design that the teams have put together in these vehicles. And again, it's a bit of an eyesore. So hopefully they go away from that here in the future. Let's go ahead and measure this. So from side to side, this is about 4.5. If you go all the way out to these little pieces there out on the side, it's roughly 5 inches. Depth is about 3 7/8. And then the height here is almost 2 3/4 inches. Let's go ahead and pop the pilots in here. So I'll go ahead and open up the cockpit there. And then to be able to put the pilots in, we're just going to go ahead and bend the hips. We'll go ahead and hook him in right down there. Try to get his feet underneath that, that little clamp. There we go. So we have one in there. And then now we can take this other one here and try and fit him here in the back. And there he goes. So the gunner that sits here in the back doesn't have that same foot clamp to be able to hold it in place, as you can see with the pilot. And so he is kind of loose in there and can kind of flop around. But either way, that's how you're going to get your two figures in there when you have two of them to be able to put inside. We're going to compare the Series 4 TIE Bomber to the Armada Edition TIE Bomber. And this is a fantastic vehicle to be able to have as an Armada Edition, mainly because the Series 4 TIE Bomber was so difficult to find actually out in the wild. So it was available for a short period of time on Amazon. Then it ultimately, nobody could find it, and it was going for crazy prices on eBay. And then it was ultimately released on Jazzwares, and then on Jazzwares Vault, and then it actually did end up coming out back again on Amazon, where people could pick this up. Either way, let's go ahead and take a look at how these two compare. Now, the first thing right off the bat, you can see the difference in the color of the window. That the Armada Edition actually has this painted version of the window there on the front. Now, I'm not sure why they did that, but I do appreciate it. It does look better, in my opinion, relative to the Series 4 version. The next thing is, for some reason, they actually went with a totally new mold. So you can see the struts here on the side that connect the body to the wings actually have those little tabs in there, like negative space here on the Armada Edition, and the Standard Edition didn't have that. which is really interesting to see. I don't know why they did that and what the purpose of changing that was, but that is definitely different between the two molds. Now, the next thing is actually the color of the interior bombs. So with the original version, you can see actually that the bombs are more of a red color. And now with this newer version, it's more of a metallic red, almost maroon color. And it's the same as you're looking at the interior as well. So those obviously in the Armada edition look much darker, more maroon color, although they do have a metallic tinge to them, where the original one doesn't have that. They just look to be painted red. And then again, if you're looking at the color there on the bottom, that looks to be the same as well. There is not really any difference here with the actual bomb tube that would drop the bombs. So originally in the actual Amazon listing, it looked like there was a slight difference there between the two, that maybe on the Armada edition it was a little bit shorter, but it's not. It looks to be the exact same. There's also a difference here on the bottom that I noticed. Many of the versions that I got in Series 4 had this little piece right there. It was put on kind of crooked like that, almost like it's a little bit sideways. And now on the Armada edition, they got it on there straight. One last thing that I noticed here is actually the color of the seat, that in our standard Series 4 version here on the right side, it's more of a black color. And now on the Armada edition, over here on the left, it's more gray. But those are going to be your major differences. Oh, actually, sorry. The final difference is, like I was saying earlier, with the production code. And you can see, again, now on this new version, how that production code is right there on the interior of that wing, versus the original version doesn't have that. And then if we look at the underside of this wing, you can see there is all of your information, where it was made, and then it does have that little white code on there, which is not as bad as having the black one that really just sticks out at you. So those are your differences in the Armada edition TIE Bomber versus the standard version. I would say there's enough there to warrant being able to get the Armada edition, and I do kind of like the Armada edition appearance a little better, except for that black stuff right there. So if I could get rid of all of that off of there, the Armada edition would be the winner right now. We've got our Armada edition TIE Bomber now compared to our Action Fleet TIE Bomber, and it's really cool to see the difference in these two, just because they are so totally different. So obviously you can see right away the difference in the color, that the Armada is much more gray and the Action Fleet is much more blue. Now, if we take this thing off the stand, you'll see now, if we're looking at the height of these, that the Armada, or the Micro Galaxy Squadron bomber, seems to be much more in scale relative to what the bomber really looks like in the movie, whereas the Action Fleet one is much taller and deeper. Now, from a features perspective, the Action Fleet version does have this sliding door, and you can see I've got the two pilots that actually came with this in there, which would have been great if Micro Galaxy Squadron had done two pilots instead. And then also it has this firing missile mechanism. So you actually can pull up on this little piece right here, and it shoots that missile out. And then to be able to reinsert the missile, you pull that down, and then you're able to plug this guy back in. And this is a really cool feature to have on a toy, to be able to have that firing missile. And it's awesome because you can see it just poking out of that front of that door, I guess. Kind of like you could see here with our Armada edition. It looks just obviously totally different when you're looking at the Micro Galaxy version versus Action Fleet. I want to show the TIE Bomber now compared to a couple other Micro Galaxy Squadron vehicles We have our Series 1 TIE Fighter, and then we also now have our Series 9 TIE Defender. And you can see the bomber is definitely bigger, which I assume that's the way it's supposed to be. And if we turn these things to the side, you can also see how it compares just from a depth perspective. And so you can now see with the Defender having much longer wings, you can see how they all compare together, as well as the difference in the color, that the TIE Bomber is slightly more blue, as I believe it is in the actual movies. So very cool to see this actually compared to other vehicles in the line and also other TIE fighters, because, you know, you're obviously going to be able to put all of the Imperials together. Now, that is all I have for you here for your review. If you like this video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Check out the links in the description below for flight stands on my Etsy page, as well as being able to pick this up on Amazon. The Amazon associate link is in the description below. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I look forward to catching everybody on the next review.